Good morning. It is March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. How about that? 2022, early morning. I got home tonight from work at not about around 9 o'clock, or yesterday, I guess, 16th. And I've been there for 12 days. Got busy real fast. I've been on call for a long time. Got busy real fast, and it's been staying there because it's just been it's been hectic. A lot of things happen. The world goes crazy and it gets hectic, right? And so I'm going to be off 72 hours now, at least 72 hours, and then so I'm home and I'm decided to get out of video. I haven't caught up on a lot of things. I got a lot of video watching to catch up on. I got some sleeping to do. I've had some downtime at work, just not a lot for gaming, and I've stayed there just because it's easier to stay there than come home. And my bunkmate is a younger guy, and I've been going through some of his workout routines, and so I'm kind of tired, but I feel better. I get lazy left to my own devices, and sometimes don't do as much exercise as I should. But today we're going to look at the Alamo, March 6th, 1836, Victory in Death. It's from SPI. It's from 1981, and Eric Lee Smith is designer, and Redmond Simonson is the graphic designer, which is going to come. We're going to talk about. It's going to come into play here. It's going to be important. So let's read the blurb. 183 grim-faced Texans volunteer for certain death to delay and decimate a besieging force of 2,000 highly trained Mexican regular infantry under the command of the ferocious Santana at the Alamo. So, I was a big fan of Alamo as a kid, big fan of the story, where you had a obviously very arrogant president, dictator, whatever you want to call it, Santana, and who had already went south and crushed a revolt in the south, and then he comes back north to crush the revolt, the Texas Revolution, if you will, 1836. And on the way, all the whole story, he gets hit by that norther and the snow, and but he gets up there, and so the Alamo became, the legend obviously is bigger than any quote unquote true history of the actual place and of the actual battle, but it became a flashpoint and a rallying cry for the Texas Army, and it became I don't want to say propaganda, but it did become gave some a boost of adrenaline really into the what became known as the Texas Revolution. So very cool. So the game, obviously, I'd want to play a game on something like that. So here we go. In any kind of underdog situation, whether it's siege situation, I just love them. They make for great story. And this one from SPI is I played it a few times, opposed, and the last couple times I played it wasn't a couple years ago. I broke it out and played it, and I played it solitaire. Solitaire is pretty well. Here's the counters. The counters are functional. I don't know if those are counters in the Mexicanos, but can in there. They're functional. They're SPI counters. What do you want? 1/2-inch counters, right? And they not the greatest, but not the worst. So let's move the rules over here. Look at the map first. What is it? I got some dice. Yeah, there's those dice, or those randomizers, as some of the early SPI rules calls the randomizers. So there they are. I believe those are original. They're kind of small, but they work well. You can see them well. They're fun. And so now let's look at the map. This is the meat and potatoes of the game. It's an interesting game because we're going to look here. We're going to see the map, right? This is basically the play area. This is the Alamo. It does not evoke a great sense of theme there when you're looking at that, but once you start playing, you'll notice that it's a very functional map, and it's very smartly designed in some ways because of the line of sight rules, and it's 3D. They're attempting a 3D map here, so that's a very cool way of doing it. Line of sight, you can shoot down the walls, you can get on the walls, you can come down from the walls. So once you start playing, you start realizing, hey, it is kind of cool. And on the map from up there, the terrain effects chart to the siege table there, and the CRT. You see the Texas flag there, obviously. And then again, terrain effects chart, siege table, combat, all the information you need are right here, right? This is your replacements, right? Sequence of play on there, everything you need. I love that on a map. If every map could do that, I would be pleased, because that's just so cool. So let's look at the sequence of play here, right? Setting up the game components. All right, let's find the sequence of play. Here you go. That's what we want to look at. Our general rule: the game of Alamo is played in successive turns. No, we don't need to go over that. Everyone, I think, pretty much knows. So sequence of play: Mexican replacement phase. The Mexican player advances his units on the replacement track one space towards 0. Here you go. Well, I'm knocking my camera. Here you go, right here. Mexican replacement track, right? So, and then you've got the Mexican reserve unit placement phase. If the Mexican reserve was committed in the Mexican reserve commitment phase of the previous game turn, those units are now placed on hexes of their entry area. The entry areas are these blue areas, if I'm not mistaken, and numbered 1 through 6 there. The game kind of set up where you can almost, I found it pretty easy to play the Texas side, and then kind of use I don't want to call it an AI, rudimentary AI to make the decisions for the Mexican side, and it's solo's fun. So you got the Texas player turn, Texas movement phase. You can move whoever you want to, right? As many as you want to. Texas combat phase. You can engage and fire, right? The rally phase, that's just you basically broken troops or that's not what they call them, not broken. The Texas player removes all disordered markers from his affected units. There you go. So that's what you're doing there. Mexican reserve commitment phase. All right. And then we're going back to the Mexican movement phase, Mexican combat phase, Mexican rally phase, Mexican withdrawal check phase. I don't think I've ever seen that. The Mexican player performs a withdrawal check using the procedures of 16. See if a withdrawal is required. I don't think I've ever seen that. And the game term indication phase. The game term marker is advanced. Okay, that's it right there. It's it in a nutshell. That's the game. How is the game? It's okay. It's not a great game. And it's not a terrible game. I think that a lot of people think it's just terrible. It's not terrible. If you like the Alamo, if you like studying about the Alamo, you probably like this game. And there's parts of it. Like I said, I love the map. Line of sight rules. I kind of forget exactly what they all are, but that's why it's a 3D. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. 3D map. The idea of that, it kind of blows me away. But the rule book leaves a lot to be desired. It's a weird rule book. It's short. Honestly, it could have been a little bit longer and have been easier to figure out the rules. And the game isn't terrible. It's just a different type of a game. It's asymmetrical in a lot of ways. And what I mean by that, the Texans got cannons and they got rifles, and so do the Mexicans. But you're dealing with a large army versus a very small group of men holding out, and it's that whole how long can they hold out? When the walls are breached, when the Alamo's breached, then the game's practically over. So the Mexicans were just running down everybody and massacring them, to be honest with you. So, but that's it. That's the game. Victory points, the Alamo defenders can win depending on victory points, depending on how many people you kill, how long you hold out, whatever. Victory points coming in a big. How to win, right there. So your victory points, if I remember, victory points. Let's read that. How to win, if I can remember right. For the Mexican player to win the game, he has to kill all the Texans in the Alamo and keep his losses to a minimum. And then, but for the Texas player to win, he must eliminate a decisive amount of Mexican manpower so that the Texan forces can defeat the Mexicans at a later date. Okay. But that's it. So I appreciate Eric Lee Smith. He was a Texan who made the game. I appreciate the game in just about every way. If you can find it for cheap, it's worth picking up and playing. Just to have. It's not. I don't think it's very expensive if you can find it, but it's definitely one of those things I like to talk about, and I would just wanted to. I don't think we ever talked about the Alamo, and it's being March, and I was talking about the other day, and that's it though. That's it. The Alamo. There we go. There it is. I noticed while I was been working, I've reached over 300 subscribers. Thank y'all for subscribing. Pardon. I didn't really expect anyone to ever subscribe. This was really for my old game group down in Homestead, Florida, that I used to play once a month, and a lot of those are older guys, and I like to keep them abreast in what I'm doing. And so I picked up 300 subscribers, and I appreciate every one of y'all watching and listening to my crackpot theories and ideas about war games and whatnot. And I'm looking at some of these old games like the Alamo, right? Okay, they've had a reprint of this. Decision Games did a reprint of this in the 90s at some point, but I want to bring that up too. So you might be able to find one of those, but interesting game. If you just don't expect too much from it, you would enjoy it. Now, if you're expecting to be blown away, maybe you wouldn't. Or if you like the Alamo, you would enjoy it. But that's it. That's the game. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great day. Be careful. Be safe. I hope to talk to y'all soon. I got a lot to do, a lot of games to play, a lot of catching up to do. So maybe I'll drop a video in the next couple of days. So hopefully, talk to you soon. Bye bye.